Homer's Odyssey ends with a god arriving and ordering the killing to stop. 20 years of war and revenge settled in one line. Because a goddess said so, Christopher Nolan read that ending and removed her. And by his own account, in an interview he gave a week after release, his ending is happier than Homer's. A god simply shows up from outside the story and makes the peace certain. Nobody in the poem has to trust that the killing is over. It just is, simply because Athena said so. That's the whole point of the scene, making sure everyone believes it's actually done. A journalist from Time asked Nolan directly, on the record, is Zendaya's Athena an actual goddess, or is she a manifestation of Odysseus's guilt, a hallucination built out of trauma, not divinity? Nolan wouldn't answer it. He said flatly that it's not his place to define the experience for an audience. The same instinct, he said, that kept him from ever confirming whether Cobb's top falls in Inception. Fine, that's a Nolan signature. Except, watch the film itself. Athena's presence is never once acknowledged by another character. Not a glance, not a flinch, in any scene she's in. And when Odysseus reaches for her, his hand is in open air, in plain view of anyone standing there who isn't reacting to a goddess. Homer's Athena hides from people all the time. In Book 16, and the same poem just says, outright, that's how gods work. Selective invisibility is old news. What Homer's Athena doesn't do is stop being solid. She is invisible to some people, sure, but touch her, and there's something else. Nolan's isn't. Reach for her, and your hand closes on nothing. That is the part that is his. The movie already answered the question Nolan wouldn't give to Time. The ambiguity only exists in the interview. There's a scene where Odysseus tells his own son, don't look for gods in men. You'll just be disappointed. A father tells his son not to bother looking for gods. A director tells a reporter he can't say whether one's actually there. If you want to know how Nolan actually handles supernatural reality when it's real, look halfway through the film. Odysseus and his crew sacrifice 2 animals and pour the blood out because the dead can only speak after drinking it. He talks to the ghost of Sinon, Agamemnon, then finally the blind prophet Tiresias, who tells him exactly how to survive, Scylla and Charybdis. And later in the film, they turn out to be correct. Compare that to every scene with Athena in it. Nothing in the underworld scene asks you to doubt what you're seeing. The film knows the difference between a vision it wants you to trust and one it wants you to question. Homer's translators don't punish Odysseus for the horse. Emily Wilson's translation calls him Lord of Lies, and that's a compliment. His cleverness is the thing that makes him a hero. Nolan doesn't let him have that. In this version, the horse is staged as a fake peace offering, and what it exploits is trust. The result is a massacre. The film gives that broken trust a name, Zeus's Law, and keeps coming back to it enough that it's clearly meant as the actual center of the story. Historically, cycles of violence don't end because both sides get tired of fighting. They end when something outside the conflict absorbs the blame and gives everyone permission to stop. Homer hands that job to a god. If nobody's allowed to confirm Nolan's god is even real, who's doing that here? As far as the film gives an answer, nobody does. Guilt does it instead. Look at the pattern. The war's cause is left morally murky on purpose. The hero's guilt is on purpose. Even the goddesses being unconfirmed is on purpose. Everything ambiguous in this movie is ambiguous on purpose, except one thing. Nolan told Time he wanted the ending to hold both the pessimism of a civilization collapsing and something more hopeful, that in his words, as Penelope puts it in the film, Civilization will rise again. He said that was deliberate, not something that just happened while he was adapting the book. Homer's piece cost the characters nothing. A god guarantees it from outside the story, and that's that. Nolan's piece only holds if Odysseus actually lets go of her, the vision, the guilt, whatever she is. That's a harder ending to earn than Homer's. It's also an ending that does get earned. Matt Damon already said it outright in a different interview, describing exactly how he played that last scene. To Odysseus, she's real in the sense that she's everything he's done, living in his head, like his own conscience. They shot it as an interior monologue, not an actual conversation. In Damien's own words, she's gone when the story tells you who she actually was. So it's not really unresolved whether she's real. What's unresolved is why Nolan, whose own lead actor just said it that plainly, still wouldn't commit to it when Time asked him directly.